I'm Judy Zelina. Welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel. The Crime Victim Center provides direct services for crime victims such as crisis intervention 24 hours a day, counseling, court accompaniment, and assistance in filing claims for crime victims' compensation. The center also offers prevention education programs to reduce the risk of sexual abuse, bullying, date acquaintance rape, and general crime. All of these services are free of charge. Paul Lukacs, the executive director, is with us today to talk about ongoing programs, new programs, and give us more information on their annual fundraiser, Moonlight on the Bay. Thank you so much for being here again, Paul.
It's a delight.
I love having you on the show. You've always got something new, in the works.
Well, and that's the thing. Our world keeps changing as crime keeps changing,
yes.
And so our preventative services have to be up to date and moving along with that. And as society changes, and we're hoping to make positive societal changes, we have to keep reinventing ourselves and making sure that we are doing the best we can for the people who need us.
Paul, some of our viewers may have heard of Crime Victim Center, but they are really are not familiar, what exactly you do, what services that you provide.
Yeah, so it's a lot. We are.
Well, yeah, we got a couple days.
We are considered a comprehensive center, so that means we are serving victims of every type of crime, from the beginning of their need to the end of whatever outcome, and that might be an outcome that we want. It might be an outcome that we don't want, so we still have to continue to do the work to make sure everybody's okay. But first and foremost, it's about serving people affected by crime. It could be home invasion, it could be homicide, it could be a mugging, it could be a carjacking, it could be a cybercrime, it could be intimidation. Any of those things fall under the work we do. Our principal and if you will, specialty is sexual assault and rape prevention. That's how this organization got started 48 years ago, and that's really the biggest part of the work that we do. But any type of crime, and not just the person who's been affected, but their families, their loved ones, and the community can come to us for counseling, for understanding, for new ways to protect themselves and get educated on what's out there so people don't fall prey to crime. So it's a whole umbrella of protections focused on victimization and hopefully to eliminate victimization in our community.
I mean, I know even something as simple like you'll read in the papers, a robbery, somebody was robbed. You think, oh, wow, geez, well, I hope they get him. But they don't stop and think of the victim, how they feel afterwards.
Yeah.
They just feel so vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Someone has been in their home.
And it's not just about the things they've taken. Your whole world was violated. Your sacred safe space is now no longer sacred or safe.
Right.
So there's a lot that goes into that. It's not just bringing back the monetary value of things that might have been broken or stolen. It's putting peace of mind back in that person's life. It's being able to make that home a safe place again and a proud place again. So you're right. It's not just about the crime itself. It's about all the ripple effects that go along with that.
Now, you also do some education, don't you?
We do.
What type of education programs, and to who? Who would benefit?
So everyone, especially children through K through 12 and the colleges. We're doing tons of things in all of our grade schools, high schools, colleges. That's paramount, and that's all about prevention, being good role models, being well-behaved, engaged citizens, and also being people who can stand up and say, I know something's wrong and I know who to go to tell.
Okay.
So that's all very important. But we also do community programs. So we want to engage the community on what's going on so they can avoid crime, or again, point out crime and do it in a safe manner so they're not putting themselves in danger, right? And then we're doing programs for specialty groups. We are engaging with police and law enforcement to make sure that they have the supports that they need from our agencies.
Right.
And they know how to get people to our doors. With medical practitioners, with nurses, all of those things fall into our work and into protection and prevention. So we have programs across the gamut. Two of our most popular programs that we would love everybody in Erie County to be engaged in are mandated reporter training, which is about if a child under the age of 18 says something that isn't right, that somebody violated them in some way, you know how to listen and you know who to report to.
Okay.
Very, very important, because that gets the ball rolling for making sure we remove children from dangerous situations, but also that we find the perpetrators and we make them accountable for their actions, right? The other big program that we're rolling out is the Parents in the Know. And again, it's about helping parents understand, what does child abuse look like? What does grooming look like? How do we engage safely in the community and let our children have the freedom that they deserve and engage in the fun activities that they want to do, but still keeping a check and balance on making sure they're safe and making sure that we're responsible for our community.
Now, Paul, how can somebody attend one of these education programs? Where are they held, and how can I find out about them?
So we do general classes, and it's on our website. We also try to put information out to the community. Hey, we're having these public classes, anybody can attend. But we also will do specialty groups. We've had a group recently of school professionals who said, we want to do a group just for people who work in high schools. Okay, great. So we targeted that audience and we provided them the information they wanted. We have rolled out programs for legal assistants, for bankers, and for other manufacturing groups. So we were happy to come into your organization and do a program, but we also have public programs that we try to get out to the community and announce, and anyone can come in for those.
And I think that's so important too, because it's pretty cut and dry. If a child comes to you and tells you something is happening, okay, you and I both know the majority of them are very quiet and they're going to talk about it. So there are other signs that an adult has to look for.
Absolutely. A change in personality, a change in eating or sleeping habits, a change in how well they're doing in school. There's all kinds of telltale signs. And it may not be abuse, it may be something else, but all reasons to check in with your kiddo and figure out what's going on and find the right help for them.
Okay. Now, if something does happen to an individual, whether it's a rape, it's abuse, you've got support groups also, don't you?
We do, and we're trying to establish even more because we know there's a huge need, especially for adults who are survivors of child abuse. There's a huge need for that. So we're trying to constantly be aware of what our community needs and provide those services, either individual or as a group. And some people really enjoy the group because they feel like it's not just me that's been affected by this, and I have other survivors now that I can pull strength from. So all of those are good things, and the Crime Victim Center strives to put those things out there to be where the community needs us to be.
Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, and you just touched base on it, adult survivors. Okay, you hear there's been in the media, you know, there's been a lot of child abuse said as adults now they're coming forward and talking about it, and you'll hear people say, "Why didn't they say anything back then? Why now?" Tell us why now, Paul.
It's fear. It's who's going to believe me. And sometimes when young people do tell, the parents don't want to believe them because it's their favorite priest or their next door neighbor or their uncle, for God's sakes. That happens, unfortunately. Oftentimes the victim knows their abuser. It's not a strange or danger thing, although that happens more times than not. It's somebody they've already known. So there's this trust level. Also, there's an great amount of grooming that goes on in child abuse. Sandusky's a perfect example of that. He got a community to love him. He got a whole school to love him. He got these young people to love him who came from maybe not such good environments, from broken homes, and who maybe didn't have the opportunities he was offering them. Well, a kid is very confused by that. And so do I tell, do I not tell? This person, gave me a football and now he's, doing terrible things to me. Is that good? Is that bad? I'm very confused. I'm just a kid. And when I tell another coach, they don't want to listen to me. They don't want to believe it because they don't want to hear these, terrible things. So it's all of those things. It's the grooming, it's the fear, it's the shame, of coming forward, especially men, so there's lots of reasons. And oftentimes people don't come forward until many years later. We see that in the child abuse cases with the churches now. People are finally coming forward because they can stand on the shoulders of other people who are also willing to come forward. And now I will be believed, and somebody's there to listen to me. So it's a game changer, and it's something we have to take into account, and we have to change society so these things don't continue to happen.
Thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about that so our viewers, get a little bit more of an understanding why they're coming forward as adults. So and I think that is so important. Now, are there, for any of your programs, is there any requirements to be eligible for any of the programs that
Absolutely
you have?
not. You have to be a victim of a crime,
Okay.
or a relative or a family member or somehow connected,
Okay.
and you have to not have participated in the crime, of course.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And again, even for communities, we've had some really great watch groups who say, "Hey, just come and talk to us. We just want to know what you're saying, so we can pass it on, so we can know as a community we're all using the same language, we're all at the same
Okay.
learning point." And
Right.
that's huge too. We all have to be on board. Teachers, nurses, doctors, counselors. We all have to be speaking the same language. We all have to be able to be willing to call the body parts what they are, so that when a child identifies, we know exactly what they're talking about,
Right.
and we can stop the pain from happening first, get services, and hopefully hold the perpetrator accountable.
Okay. Before we go too far, though, because I want to continue on this, but I don't want to forget. I wanted to talk. I'm going to throw it in here because I don't want us to get to the end of our time and we didn't talk about your annual fundraiser.
Yeah.
Tons of fun. Tell us about it. When, where,
Yeah.
and what can I expect?
So it is great, and Angie Devine, who was our director of development and marketing, she is aces. She's great, and she really makes this thing happen.
This is Angie's
Yes,
thing, huh?
and it's great, and our board of directors is great, and this is going to be our 8th year doing it, and it is called Moonlight on the Bay.
Okay.
It's always the Friday after Labor Day. We do that because we have to use the park officially off-season. So if people wonder why it's that, that's why. So mark your calendar every year, the Friday after Labor Day.
Okay.
It's at the Perry Monument on our beautiful Presque Isle. So we're taking in this incredible feature that Erie has to offer. And we do gourmet food trucks. So there's lots of variety of really fun foods and local spirits, local wine and really great local brewed beer, and just really a lot of fun. And we're just so fortunate that the park and the state allows us to do this.
Right.
It's an evening activity. It's elegant. It's it's heavy hors d'oeuvre eating. It's wonderful flavors. We'll have a jazz band this year to kick things off.
Oh, nice.
And the other cool thing I want to tell people is you don't have to bring your wallet. We just want people to come and buy a ticket and have fun. We don't do basket raffles. We don't do all those wonderful things that are necessary to keep a nonprofit running. But this is just about
Right.
sponsoring and supporting the Crime Victim Center and enjoying the wonderful things that Erie has to offer and reminding us that Erie is a great place.
It really is. And you've got, I like that it's all local.
Everything's local.
Yeah.
Local
What about
flavors.
the food? Tell me about the food. What are you doing this year?
Yeah, so we have some surprise food trucks, some different ones than last year, and we ask them to do specialty things. So it's not the everyday things they're necessarily serving. These are special gourmet fun things.
No way, really?
Yeah, and it's 4 or 5 different flavors. So if you don't like one thing, that's great. There's another place you can go
Okay.
to and enjoy. And that just adds such a fun atmosphere to the whole thing. Plus, it supports local businesses. So again, it's all about local Erie and local flavors and our cranberries and our apples and our wine and all those good things that Erie does. And there's dancing, and we do an amazing job of just decorating that beautiful space. It's already beautiful, but just highlighting it with some really nice lighting and decorations so that it's this elegant, black tie affair that's just not like any other event in Erie.
Oh, you guys do it right. Let me tell you. What else was I going to ask? What about if it rains? Does it rain or shine?
You know what? We have enough tents, and it has rained
Okay.
before, and we don't stop the event.
It doesn't.
The dancing
doesn't
stop.
phase it. No, it doesn't phase it in the
A
least.
typhoon would have to come through for us to stop it.
And you said it's been 8 years.
It'll
Paul.
be 8 years. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been amazing.
Yeah. Now all the money raised for this fundraiser stays right here
It's
with you.
all here. It all goes to victim services, mostly to child prevention programs that we offer. Yeah.
And I think that's so important for our viewers to know that it's staying right here, right in our community, and you guys are going to help the community with these funds.
Absolutely. Everything we do is for the Erie community. We do help other groups outside if they want us to, but all the money we raise, all the programs we do are primarily for Erie County residents and the whole county.
Okay. Well, you guys do so much good in the community, working with children, rape victims, crime victims.
Yeah.
One thing that you do, and I just think it's fantastic, is you actually accompany victims to court. That's pretty scary. If you've got someone who's going to have to testify against someone, they're frightened, especially if it's a child. Well, anybody.
It's incredibly scary, and it's a whole different world.
So how do you do that? How do you help
Our people are
them?
well trained. In fact, I was in court as an assistant to our advocate this morning, and they were actually doing sentencing.
Okay.
And thank God we have really tough judges who aren't going to let people get away with things, and I love it. But it's a tough world, and we don't always get the verdict that we want.
Right.
We prepare people from the very beginning as they're going through the counseling, and we're helping them to, kind of put that eggshell of their life back together and move beyond this horrible thing that happened to them or their loved one. We're also preparing them for court. We're preparing them for what's the lingo, where are they going to sit, who's going to be there. Their perpetrator's going to be in that courtroom with them. What's that going to look like? What questions might be asked? How should they be prepared for that? We work very close with the DA's office. We actually have people embedded there. So Jack Denier and his team, amazing people, and we and Beth Hers and that whole great group is so amazing, and they prepare us and they prepare our people for going in there. But we also have to be aware that we may not get the verdict we want. We may not get the outcome that we're looking for. So that's another step in preparing our people for, how are you going to feel if this happens? Or what if this turned out? And so we don't stop. We don't stop with a person just because the court's over, okay, see you next time. No, it's constantly ongoing to make sure that person, that group of people, those loved ones, everybody attached can stand on their feet no matter what happens and be able to move through that. And it is a harrowing experience. It is troubling to go into any courtroom. I go as an observer and think, oh my gosh, I don't know what they're talking about half the time. And I know the lingo. So for a person who doesn't often have that experience, it can be a scary place. And so in Pennsylvania, to have that victim Bill of Rights and to have the advocacy that we have and that protection for a victim and their family and their loved ones is huge. It makes the process work.
And how are people referred to you? Who are the different people that will refer?
Many ways. Self-referral, friends, family, the police. Anytime there's a police report, we get a copy of that so we know what's going on.
Oh, really?
Yep, and that's huge, and we send a letter out right away. Anytime there's a homicide, we know about it. We're engaging with the family. We're engaging with the district attorney's office because obviously they get wind of that.
Okay.
The DA's office refers people to us. All the different local and state law enforcement people are in touch with us. So there's a lot of different ways people come to our door. And in fact, we see a whole lot of clients who don't ever even interface with the law enforcement. They don't want to, or it's fallen out of jurisdiction for any kind of court hearing, but we still see those people. So anytime a person needs us, if something happened to somebody 50 years ago and now they're just ready to talk about it, we're here to listen. So it doesn't discount a person's need to be with us. And people need to know that we will serve you, whether you want to engage in law enforcement or not. We will serve you regardless of when the crime happened. We will serve you.
Okay. Paul, I want to talk a little bit more. You touched briefly on parents in the know. Tell our viewers again, what exactly is all involved in this program? Because it's relatively new, isn't it?
It is relatively new, and it's gaining great traction, and the Department of Health in Erie County is helping us keep this going, which is really fantastic. They see the value and the need for it. And in a nutshell, it's a program to engage caregivers in child sexual abuse prevention, as well as understanding what grooming techniques are, how to identify grooming techniques, how to ask the right questions, how to make sure that adults and kids aren't in situations that could be compromised. There are safe ways to do that. There are good ways for good, positive role modeling for adults, and we don't want to lose that in our community because somebody's scared that somebody's going to say something. But there are healthy and positive ways to have groups of kids with a proper adults who are trained on mandated reporter training and what does a groomer look like and how to keep kids safe so that we don't, all of the child abuse that happens in Erie County can easily be eliminated. If people took the right steps, if people had the right education, we would not have this problem. And it just takes the good adults to say, yes, I'm willing to be a good role model. I'm willing to understand what does grooming look like, what does sexual abuse look like, and I will be an advocate against it.
And I think that's so important because I think there are those out there that can help a child right now. But because that child is not coming forward, but there's signs to look for.
That's right.
Me as just Judy Zelina here, I don't know all the signs. I know some of the ones that we've talked about, but there are other subtle ones, aren't there?
There are absolutely other subtle ones, and Parents in the Know talks a lot about that, and it gives some really good, just some parental ideas and how to be a better parent. That's something that there's there's a lot of books written, but none of them are complete in how to raise a child, right? So this
No,
is just
no,
another.
there's not that chapter, Paul.
So this is just another aid to say, hey, these are good things to do. These are positive ways to reinforce good behavior for adults and for kids. These are cautionary things to look out for. These are situations, you never have one child, one adult together, never ever. In any kind of public situation that you're in a caregiver situation, there's just good rules to know and to learn, and all the community can do that.
And I think it's important because we know how to teach our children stranger danger.
Right.
And so it's always focused on strangers, somebody
Yep.
coming up and offering you candy or something. But this is, like you had said, it's the neighbor, it's a caregiver,
It's a coach
it's
in
the babysitter,
school,
the coach,
it's
a
your
teacher.
minister, it's and we need to be aware of what those actions might look like, and then to make sure our children aren't engaging in them or subject to those bad behaviors.
Okay. A couple other things I want to talk about is, I just jotted them down. What is a bystander?
So a bystander is someone who witnesses something happening.
Okay.
A positive bystander is someone who can take action in a safe manner. And we teach those classes too. That's something typically that we do in college more often, some high schools, but mostly college, about when you're going out and there's going to be alcohol consumed.
All right.
What are the ground rules?
Okay.
Who's going to be your sober buddy? Who's going to be your group that you stay with? And you stay with them all the time. And then, you're at a bar and you're having a nice dinner and you see obvious bad behavior from a gentleman or a lady to another customer. How do you respond to that? Can you tell your waiter? Can you tell somebody at the bar, hey, I think that person's had too much to drink. Maybe you should call them an Uber or a taxi, right? So the idea about being a positive bystander is knowing how to report something that doesn't look right in a safe manner, so that you don't necessarily have to get involved in an altercation, but also you're safe, the person's safe, and any potential crime that could be committed is not committed.
Okay. You also have teaching healthy sexuality.
Yeah.
Very important in this day and
Hugely
age,
important.
isn't it? Oh
And
my
you
gosh.
have to start at the kindergarten level. Now, having said that, you use appropriate language.
Right.
And then you graduate to appropriate language in first grade, second grade, third grade,
Okay.
and all the way through. So by the time, and our idea is to be in front of kids K through 12, so that by the time they are adults in our world and they're going off to college, they know what good behavior is. They know how to respect themselves. They know how to respect others. They know how to ask for consent, even for a hug or a kiss, that's appropriate to do. So at appropriate stages, in appropriate language, you can start talking about that. And again, it goes back to, let's use the proper terms for body language.
Okay.
Let's know. So when a child says, this person touched me here or there, we know exactly what they're talking about. We're not using euphemisms.
Okay.
That's important. And that the children, the adults, the teachers, and all caregivers are involved in that. So we're all on the same page. We all understand, what does a good touch look like? What's a bad touch? How do we report it? What's the proper terminology to use? Those are things that, again, we should start teaching in kindergarten and all the way through the rest of your life.
Yes. Very important.
It
Oh
is
my
very
gosh.
important. And won't it make everyone a happier citizen?
Yes.
And better relationships all the way around?
Yes.
So yes.
You recently received a sizable grant. I want to talk about that. What will that help provide?
This new grant that we got is very exciting, and it's predominantly to work with our international community.
Okay.
Erie's a resettlement community.
Right.
We have a lot of immigrants and a lot of new Americans. I love to see when they take their oath at the courthouse. I mean, those are great things. And those are great things for Erie. It's going to bring new jobs. It's going to bring new industry. Hopefully, they're going to open up some amazing shops and restaurants. So I love all that stuff. But
We do.
Yes,
Yes.
But
I
this is
like
to
their food.
primarily help those groups to understand their language, to engage on their turf, on their language, but also to help these people understand there's protections in the United States that they may not have had in their countries. And there's laws in our country that they may not have had in their countries. So how do you engage and make sure that we're all following the same laws, and that women and children are protected, and that men cannot be batterers here, and that men are also protected, and there are rights, and if God forbid something happened with these immigrant populations, they have the same rights and they have the same services afforded to everyone else. How do we get them to our door?
Right.
How do we understand them? How do we provide those services and make sure that they not only trust us, but we give them the best possible outcome that we would for anyone else.
That sounds very exciting. Paul, you have so many wonderful things in the works. You always do. We're at the end of our time here. But again, I want to thank you so much for the information. Again, you and I could sit here for another hour and not even cover everything. But I just wanted to remind our viewers again about Moonlight on the Bay. I know it sells out quick. Please give them a call, get your ticket. You are going to have a wonderful time. And great food, and surprise great food too.
Yes.
There's some surprises. Paul, thank you. Is there anything that we haven't touched base on that you wanted to let our viewers know?
Two
how
things.
They can get a hold of you?
One, we have an amazing team, and they are there every day to serve people, and that's what they want to do.
Okay.
None of our people are getting rich in their jobs, but they want to be there because they want to provide this service.
Right.
And two, if you need our service, don't be afraid to call us. We will meet you in safe places. If you don't want to come to our office, there's other ways to get our services. And please, please, please contact us. If you are a victim of crime, if a loved one's a victim of crime, if you are in a neighborhood that you don't feel safe and you need someone to talk to, give us a call. We'll figure it out together.
All right. Paul, thank you again so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure. Can't wait till you're on again because you'll have new things for us to talk about. Viewers, if you have any questions on any of the programs that we talked about, or you want to get your tickets for Moonlight on the Bay, please give them a call. Thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.